A lot of familiar faces and some new ones of people who are indeed making history tonight on a Monday night in Jerusalem, no doubt. Let me tell you the story about how I started with Christian-Jewish relations. I was in law school, and I was in a Jewish law school called Cardozo, but there was a lot of non-Jews there as well. And non-Jews would come up to me from time to time and say, "Can I ask you a question?" And I knew that they wanted to ask me about Jewish sexuality. Every time. There wasn't one exception, every time. Anyway, I'm in law school, and I'm meeting all these good people. In any case, after the first semester, I had a mental fry-out. The midterms were just too much, tired me out, and I just had you ever threw a rod in your head? I couldn't do anything after the midterms, and we had a 2-week break. And I crawled over to the computer, and I went to Priceline, and I ordered myself some tickets. I tried to get tickets to Florida, and indeed they accepted my low bid. And the next day I was on a plane to Florida. I rented a car, and I'm driving around there by myself, just relaxing. And I stopped in a place that was good for Sabbath stopping, a motel which had no, card keys, and just a very simple place, beautiful place on one of the keys. And I'm laying in a hammock, and my brain is so tired from this half a year of law school. But at the same time, being a person who enjoys the Bible and enjoys intellectualism, my ear hears the reading of the Bible. And he came out from the womb all red, and they called him Edom. And he was Esau, and it goes on and on. Somebody's reading this story. And I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt and a hat down to here, had some scraggly beard. And I walked over to a group of people who were reading the Bible, and I said to them, "Can I sit down with you?" And I think they thought that I was going to murder them or something. But they, because I just, out of nowhere, and they were just like, good Christian folks said to me, "Sure, sit down." And they were reading the Bible. And they're reading, and I'm enjoying it so much. I love audio. I love when people read to me. That's why I'm radio also. And I said to them, "Do you know why his name is Edom? Edom means red, and this is a theme that goes on through their life." And I started explaining all kinds of biblical passages and simple things that every Israeli kid would know because it's just Hebrew, the language of the Bible. And they said to me, "Well, how do you know all this?" I said to them, "I'm a Jew from the land of Israel." And the transformation on their face was like, as though they were seeing Messiah, right? And the man, who I remember everything about him, he was a policeman from Cooper's Field. Is that where the baseball museum is in New York? Cooperstown, New York, right? And I just remember that fact. And he was just talking to me, and I could see that if I had said one more thing, he would have grabbed onto my tzitzit, and I could have whisked him to Jerusalem. But what I realized then was that this man was not coming with an agenda, and he wasn't trying to missionize me. I had come to him. And he was interested in the Bible that was in my heart and in the life of Israel. And he saw Israel as what it is, a holy country, living with the Bible, a miracle come true, all that. There was no agenda. And I saw that clearly. And I saw that in the law school as well with the people I met. When I started working at Arutz Sheva, Israel National News, Israel National Radio, we were making gray radio, and we started looking at the stats. And we started seeing that a huge chunk of listenership was the Goyim. Right? The Gentiles, they're out there, and we were not pandering. We were right-wing Torah settlers from Bethel, right? And they're out there from Kentucky listening to every word. And I started saying, listen, there's a whole group of people there that want to hear the true message of Israel the way we're saying it. And we don't need to kind of modify and mollify and change things around. We just have to talk the truth to them. Maybe in English. Maybe that's what we have to do. All right. We were doing that anyway. And at that time, I came up with the idea that we needed to start a show that would be more in tune with, not to change around the message, but to even augment it even more, add it even more, talk to them in the stuff that turns them on, spirituality, Bible. There'll be many Jews that will listen to this, but many Gentiles as well. It's Christians and it's all other kinds. By the way, Christians, you think that people talk about the Israeli Knesset and Israeli politics being divisive. The Christian world, forget about it. They have, every church has a different little denomination, and this pastor does it differently. What brings us all together? The Bible. And we started this show, and here's my friend Ari Abramowitz in the audience. Him and Jeremy started a show called Light Unto the Nations. That was the idea. And we went to the rabbi, Rav Melamed Sr., and we said to him, we want to make more programming for these people out there. He said, absolutely, go for it. We're meant to be a light unto the nations. And our current station, Voice of Israel, which is right across the street, even more so. We have this consciousness that there's a world out there that wants to listen and wants to hear the story of Israel. So I'm not saying anything new. This is what Root Source is up to. It's providing that content which is so sorely lacking. And I see people in the room who are involved in this in various capacities and giving that water, that Torah water, that lifeblood to all those people who want a closer connection. But I want to take a minute to talk about some of the challenges that might face us along the way. And that's what Rabbi Tully was alluding to, because I mentioned to him that I want to talk about the challenges for a second. I want to bring you two cases that happened in the recent past. One of them was the story of Glenn Beck, when Glenn Beck came to town. I'm sure a lot of people in this room have tremendous respect for Glenn Beck. And if you like him or don't like him, you must admit that he's a man of success, and a man of charisma, and a man of great intelligence. You cannot like him or his message, but the bottom line is most people respect him for being a guy who gets it done and definitely has a mission. And he came to town twice on this... what was it called? Return to Courage? Restoring Courage. Restoring Courage. And it was if there's a guy who knows how to put on a show, let me tell you. Let me tell you. I live on the Mount of Olives. I am not the Messiah. I live on the Mount of Olives. And I hope that my property will become waterfront property one day, as it says in Zechariah. But in any case, the old city of Jerusalem, for some, is a dream and a postcard. For me, it's my day-to-day existence, okay? When I think of the old city of Jerusalem, I think of God and I think of traffic, all right? That's my life. I have never seen in my life the old city of Jerusalem be transformed into a massive studio, Hollywood-style operation. I mean, you've never seen anything like that. The old city walls from the Maccabean time, Herodian, all the way to the Turkish times, lined with wires, with these modern trucks. And they're all like, and all this stuff is being beamed, and there's, satellite dishes, and you've never seen such a production, boom cameras, and woo! And that's Glenn, he knows how to take care of business. And he does this event, and also an event previous to that he did at the Israel Bible Lands Museum. At the Israel Bible Lands Museum, there was a great event, and then at the end, there was a pastor who got up and blessed everybody in the name of Jesus. Boom. That's how he finished it off. And at this event at the Old City, which was an event that I'm telling you, I have never seen an event of this caliber in the Old City. He took up the whole southern excavation. Such a moment to bring Jews and Christians together. He went on a whole long thing about there was a man, and he went into this whole thing, and that there was violins playing, and it was a completely transparent allusion to Jesus, and I totally understand where he's coming from. That's his crowd. He's in Jerusalem. But there was a break, and that break is a break in a word that I have to convey to everybody in this room, especially to these two amazing founders. The word that we need, ladies and gentlemen, is trust. We need to have trust. We don't have a lot of trust. There's a lot of people who don't trust me for standing up at this podium right now. A lot of people don't trust these two folks. And they have ample reasons. Because in the Middle Ages, when the Muslims didn't let Jews pray in Jerusalem, when the Crusades came, they rounded up all the Jews and they burnt them in their synagogues. We have behind us some bad blood, literally. And we got to heal that. And we're on the road to healing it. The people in this room are on the road to healing it. But in order to do that, we have to overcome distrust. And the way to do it is with trust. That sensitivity that was lacking in Glenn's verbiage caused distrust. And I'm going to give you a completely different example of trust. The Israeli Ministry of Tourism, was there people here from the Ministry of Tourism earlier? There were. 3.5 million tourists are arriving in Israel every year. Last year, it was a great rise, 20% from the US and Canada. And the Israeli Tourism Ministry is putting $2 million into a new media campaign to get Christians. And here's what it sounds like. I heard the audio myself. It sounds like this. You've just stepped inside, this is the accent, I'm not making fun. This is the accent that basically they made in these ads. You just stepped inside the garden tomb where Jesus rose from the dead. Hallelujah! 3 days after they laid his body here, the stone that blocked the cave could not block the Lord Jesus Christ. He stood, this is not me saying, he stood and walked out of the tomb, his resurrection from the dead, his journey into everlasting life goes on, and then it says, visit goisrael.com, learn more about making the journey that will transform your faith in God and His Word. Experience Israel, you'll never be the same. Makes sense, right? We're turning to a Christian audience. When I was at the NRB, the National Religious Broadcasters Conference, they played this ad for pastors. And do you know what pastors said to me? We don't need that. We don't need that. We want to come to Israel, the people of the Bible. We want to come to Hebron, Shiloh. We'll do our thing. Don't worry. The Christians will go and visit the Christian sites. But from you Jews, don't tell us the Christian story. Please, be authentic. Sell us the Bible. Sell us the Bible. You know, the Old Testament, the Torah. You heard of it, right? Don't sell us on our story. We know it perfectly well. And our pastor will do a great job bringing us to those places. But you Jews have got to sell Israel. And there's two Israels. There's the biblical Israel, and then there's the modern miracle of the state of Israel, which Christians appreciate as well. And when our own government makes a whole campaign to teach this, it sows distrust. Because the community that I live in, which is very orthodox and very distrusting, okay, they don't like it. They don't like it. So, how do we move ahead? We move ahead by creating trust. This evening tonight is about building that kind of trust. Some people would say, okay, let us agree to disagree. I say, let us agree to agree. We've got so much we agree on.
That's right.
So much that we agree on. The stories of the Bible aren't enough to agree on. My God, from Abraham to Zechariah, to the book of Joshua, the book of Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel. I mean, we're talking about lifetimes and lifetimes of knowledge and learning. And my point to you is let us agree to agree tonight. And let us agree to agree and therefore build that trust. That trust, ladies and gentlemen, another root, and I'll finish off with this. Another word for that trust is a root. It's an anchor. That root is something that has to hold on deep in the ground. When it holds on deep in the ground, it's got a root. Nothing's going to sway it. Nothing's going to knock it out. It's got to have a deep root. That's the blessing I always give people when they get married. I say, you should have deep roots in the land of Israel. Tonight, at Root Source, I bless you to have deep roots in truth, deep roots in the land of Israel, deep roots in the Bible, and based on those shared values and the agreement to agree that will build trust, and that root will grow and flourish to a beautiful time. And may we be zoche, as we say, may we merit to walk together during the festival of booths, Sukkot, as the prophet Zechariah tells us, may we walk arm in arm to the third temple. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Yishai. We are making our way and hearing from one amazing speaker after another. Yishai tells it like it is. That's one thing. You know, Yishai has such an important message for us tonight and for Root Source as they begin their journey. Our next speaker also is somebody who is a man of principle. Anybody who knows David HaIvri knows that he is somebody who stands firm for what he believes in. He is somebody who believes very passionately about the Jewish right to live everywhere, in every inch of the land of Israel, especially Yehuda and Shomron. And he is the spokesperson for the Shomron Liaison Committee, and he's also a Root Source teacher. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome David HaIvri.
Thank you, Rabbi Kili. Everyone, I'm lost at words. What am I going to say after these amazing speakers? I'm sitting there in the back of the room and thinking, wow, I'm going to get up there and embarrass myself. I was thinking as I was walking in with my wife Molly, who's here in the back, I was saying that I dress appropriately for such an exciting and important meeting. I just wore jeans and I'm not wearing a suit or a tie. And then I thought, well, Israelis go to weddings in jeans. So I guess it's kind of like think about it, bringing together. But the truth is that I'm just a simple guy. I'm not just a simple guy. I think of myself as a simple Jew. And then on the other hand, I say that being a simple Jew is not a simple thing. It's not a simple thing, especially not in our age, in our time, living the time of the redemption, of seeing the gathering of the Jewish people and the reestablishment of the Jewish state in the land of Israel is an amazing, amazing phenomenon. It's an amazing miracle that there's no parallel in the history of the world of a nation that was banished from its land, a country that was destroyed, and a nation that retained its national identity in the diaspora and retained a promised and taught fathers to sons and mothers to daughters throughout the ages that we have a land and we have a culture and we have a belief and we have a Torah and we have a holy mountain, and promised and believed the promise of Hashem and of the prophets that one day we would return. God would have mercy on us and bring us back from the diaspora, from the exile, from the punishment. And in our age, we have the great merit to experience that, to see this amazing phenomenon. And I could go on, just pointing out how amazing this phenomenon is, and how incredible this is, and how there's no parallel in any standard to examine the success of the state of Israel. Today they call it the startup nation. It's a new nation that came together and is succeeding. It's truly amazing. The spokespeople for Israel used to speak about the external threats and how we stood up against 7 Arab armies and against with a nation that came out of the Holocaust, and we were successful and victorious in the war in 1948. And then the incredible miracle in 1967 of returning to our holy city and to our lands in Judea and Samaria and the Golan and the Sinai. Any way you look at it, it's an incredible miracle. It's an incredible phenomenon. I've been actively involved in Jewish-Christian relations over the past few years, starting through my position with the Shomron Regional Council. I'll tell you a personal story. A few years ago, when my friend Gershon Masika was elected as the director of the Shomron Regional Council, which is the largest regional municipality in Judea and Samaria, Gershon asked me to come in and to establish an international department for our regional council. And a short time after I started representing the Shomron region for international matters, I received a phone call from a good friend of mine in Har Bracha, who grows grapes. He has a vineyard. And his name is Nir Levi. And Nir said to me, listen, you're now our representative for international matters. I have these foreigners, these Christians, who've come to help me on my farm. I want you to come and meet them. So I went up to Har Bracha, and I came to Nir's house, and I went into his house, and I was blown away. There was this huge Christian man with a big blonde beard, and a huge family, girls and boys. The home was full, and full of foreigners who were obviously not Jewish settlers in the West Bank, in Samaria. They kind of dressed like us, but they had no kippah, and the girls were very modest, and they were filling up this whole house. They were all very blonde, all very obviously goyim, not Jewish. And it was very strange to me. This was strange, this was weird. And they were very nice, and Nir and his wife told me what a great help they are, that they've been coming and helping them on their farm. And I heard about this, and I met with them, and they're really very nice people. And I went back and I told Gershon Masika and our leadership that this is what I found. And what we decided is that I would set out on a mission to investigate, because there are concerns. Ishai spoke about some of our Jewish communities' very legitimate concerns regarding the relationship of Jews and Christians. On one side, our horrific joint history together, 2,000 years. The mistrust, the fear in the Jewish people's mindset if a Christian extends his arm, there's most likely a fist at the end of that arm, and you should watch out and get out of the way. Our community doesn't really expect a Christian to stretch out his arm to shake your hand or to hug you in a respectful way. And then there's the other fear, which is also very, very true and legitimate, and that's also exists. The Jewish community is concerned that if the Christian is not there to inquisize us, then he's there to missionize us. He wants to win us over. And here we're looking at a nation, as I mentioned, who survived 2,000 years of exile, and we succeeded in retaining our national identity and our devotion to our faith. And now after we're back in our land, there are leaders of our community, important rabbis included, who I have great respect for, who are concerned. They're saying, just a second, these relationships, maybe they're breaking down the barriers in order to bring us Jesus. And we don't want that. That's what we're concerned about. In any case, after I met Tommy Waller and his family, who had established this group, the Hayovel, bringing out Christians from America and other countries to assist the farmers in Judea and Samaria, take part in the process of the redemption, fulfilling the words of the prophets, again planting the vineyards in the mountains of the Samaria, I decided I would go out and learn a bit about Christian Zionism, about Christians who love Israel. And I met a lot of people who are involved, some people who are here in this room, people who are pioneers, each one in his own, people from our community, the Jewish community. And I went and I consulted with rabbis and reported to rabbis who I consulted with and spoke with rabbis who are excited about this relationship, and in a positive note, and I met with rabbis who are excited in a negative note. And I heard different arguments and so forth, and I learned a lot about Christian Zionism and Christians in general. I'm not an expert, I told you in the beginning. I'm just a simple Jew, which is not a simple thing. I want to tell you that one rabbi, I must mention Rabbi Eliezer Melamed. Yishai spoke about Rabbi Melamed Sr., Rabbi Beitel, Rabbi Eliezer Melamed. The rabbi of Har Bracha is a force and a great encouragement in his positive excitement about this new phenomenon. And I spoke about a phenomenon, and I believe that the Christians who are turning to Israel and asking Jewish teachers to teach them about Jewish theology is part of this phenomenon of the redemption of the people of Israel and the redemption of the world. This is a sign. Return of the people of Israel is causing waves in the world, and people are seeing these waves and they're waking up to that. Well, Rabbi Tuli mentioned that we're still a minority on both sides. The Jewish people who are open to this relationship are a small minority within our community, and the Christians who are opening up and realizing this are still a minority, but it's growing quickly. So I was happy and honored and humbled when Gidon and Bob turned to me and asked me to take part in this project. I had no idea what a success this would be from the start, and that's I think a sign of the blessing. And this is a courageous thing. Both of these men are very courageous. This whole relationship is very courageous. So I wish you great success. I'm not going to finish it, just one more short. I was telling about the rabbi. Rabbi Shmuel Eliyahu, the rabbi of Tzfat, the son of Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu, who attended one of the rabbinical consultations regarding this issue, the relationship between Jews and Christians. Rabbi Eliyahu told us that when his father, Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu, was approached by Jewish people who started returning to their roots, in Hebrew we say, Chozer b'tshuva, returning to the faith, to observing the religion. Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu was approached by Jewish people who became observant and started asking questions that were very unusual. It wasn't the regular questions that someone who had been observant through his whole life would be asking. And Rabbi Shmuel Eliyahu remembered the story, and he said, today, when we're approached with questions regarding the relationship between Jews and Christians, these are new questions. These are things that we haven't had in the past. So I'm excited about this new phenomenon. Again, I want to thank you both for being so courageous and be successful.
Okay, thank you, David, very much. If you want, those of you who are at home, if you want to read more or learn more from David HaIvri, go to root-source.com, and you can sign up for David's class. He's giving a class on the land of Israel. And there are many of the great Root Source teachers. There are currently 9 courses. And some of the teachers who are here right now, I'd like to give a special welcome to somebody who's about to become one of the newest Root Source teacher, who is here for the very first time since his fateful shooting. And we'd like to give a special welcome to Yehuda Glick tonight. So much chizuk, inspiration for us to see you here, Yehuda, to come back to this place, that to be here for your friend Gidon, and we wish you continued refuah shlema, continued health and blessing. And Yehuda is going to be teaching a course on Root Source, and it's amazing. David mentioned that in just a few weeks, Root Source has exploded. They started a few weeks ago. They have 30,000 people already who signed up to learn from Root Source. Hundreds of people who are taking their classes every week. So it's really amazing. That's why those of you who are here tonight, you're really, those of you who are watching from your homes, it's great. It's great what you're doing, Gidon and Bob. So at this point, we're just going to take a little bit of change. We're changing the focus for a moment to honor the memory of one of the pioneers of Jewish-Christian relations, and that is Charlie Levine. Many people here knew Charlie, of blessed memory, and so I'd like to call on Timothy King to share a thought about his good friend Charlie Levine.
Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be here, and Gidon, Mr. Odell, and Rabbi Leibowitz, your words warmed my heart to know that we have someone in City Hall who is attempting to understand Bible-believing Christians.